I have to admit, this was a really good fight for Thursday morning. As you can see from the title, is Liam Paro versus David Papot. He's a Frenchman. Came into this fight with 5 KOs. So let's talk for a minute. I'm TstreeT Controversy with Fight View 360. It is Thursday, September the 18th, 2025. And Liam Paro, former IBF champion at 140 pounds, has moved up to 147. And this was an eliminator for a title shot against Lewis Crocker, who just won that vacated title that Boots Ennis had before he moved up to 154. Now, as you can see here, he got this big win here in Puerto Rico over Subriel Matias, who at the time, and still even right now again, is a bit of a boogeyman in the 140-pound division. And Liam Paro beat him, like, cleanly. So that is an accomplishment within itself. They were going to have a rematch, but both fighters are no longer with Matchroom. Subriel Matias, for some reason, signed the contract with Matchroom. They had a falling out. Liam Paro is no longer with Matchroom. By the way, I wish you could see a clear image of Liam Paro's eye. He got hit really hard in round number 4 and pretty much closed his eye up. And for the next couple of rounds, he was fighting pretty, how can I say, cautiously on a bike, where he's fighting on the back foot and being stalked by David Papot, who came into this fight 30-0-1 with only 5 KOs. But in round number 8, Liam Paro got his legs back, and he pretty much swept. I would say he won 3 of the last 4 rounds to close it out. I can't wait to hear the scorecards. By the way, I've never seen something like this before, where the yellow of Liam Paro's gloves were coming off on Papot, all in his beard and everything. You know, I don't like that. You know, it comes across as cheap. But my concern about Paro is, like, how I have concerns at 147 pounds. Even though 147 is not as strong as it used to be. Oh, let's listen to the cards. All right, let's listen in. We're going to get my colleague, Big J, in to give his thoughts as well and talk about the 147-pound division.
Firstly, after a 12-round war, let's have a massive round of applause for both of our boxers centering Papot and Paro. After 12 rounds of action in our IBF welterweight world title eliminator, we go to the judges' scorecards.
This was me.
Decision. Judge Carl Zapier scores the bout 117-111. Judge Nobuto Ikehara scores the bout 116-112.
There go my card.
Jérôme Lades scores the bout 116.
Look at his eye.
112. Ladies and gentlemen, we have.
I'm gonna get you a clear clip. Hold on 1 minute.
Victory, and it goes in the favor of Blue Corner, the fighting pride of Queensland.
Just say his name, Blue Corner. They was all confused. Yeah, 116, 112. I can ride with that. But let's listen to the post-fight interview, because there's some confusion on if it's a title eliminator or final eliminator.
I don't know if you can see me. When that happened, and when you were in all sorts of trouble at the end of round 4, where did you go to continue?
Look at his eye.
Oh man, just the same old shit. I just kept ticking over, you know, went back to the corner, tried to get my bearings together and fucking go out and win the other rounds. You know, that's boxing, and respect Papot, man. He was undefeated for a reason. He was crafty, and yeah.
Really good fight.
You know, we're not playing marbles, so we got the job done, had to dig deep. But yeah, respect to that, and I want to thank everyone for coming out. That was a hell of a fight. First outing at 147, got a lot to work on. We'll be back to the gym, and yeah, the journey continues.
Was he better than you thought? Because, gee, he was tough, and he punched with some power.
Yeah, look, man, these you can't always just believe the record. You know?
Damn, no interview.
A lot harder than 5 KO. Good on him. He come to fight. Yeah, we respect. This is the world level, you know what I mean? Everyone can fucking fight, and you just seen that. It was hard to dig deep, but respect to David Papot, and yeah, we're on to the next. Rest up and back in the gym.
A word on your corner, the way that they got into you in the corner, got into that eye, and got you back out there inspired to continue. Must be a special bond in that corner.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone knows Alfie. He looked after me a lot, and like if I was standing up and I would have copped another punch or a slap around the ear, so I had to pick it up and go back to change up the game plan and just keep boxing. You know, we knew it was going to be tough. He's undefeated for a reason, and he's world number 8 for a reason. So this is my first outing at 47. Always a lot to work on, but I respect him. I'm happy with that, and we're back to the gym and keep getting better.
And a word to the people who've come out and witnessed a Fight of the Year candidate, a war and a victory for you here in Brisbane.
I want to thank each and every person for coming out. It really truly means a lot. You know, we couldn't do what we do without you. So everyone that bought a ticket, from the bottom of my heart, I truly love you and respect you for coming out and supporting this beautiful sport. You know, what better than on a Thursday night and watching two fellas punch at it. So yeah, no, it's good.
You got some good sunglasses for the next few days?
I'm just going to wear it with pride. You know, I had to dig deep for that. Credit to Papot and his team, they come prepared, and yeah, look, we're not playing marbles, so it's bound to happen.
I know you need to recover, clearly, but what do you want to do after this? That was a world title eliminator. You're right there. There's some huge names in this division. They've all been mentioned. If you could have a dream scenario, what is it?
Look, we're just going to let the eye. Where's the camera? I want to have a look up in there what it looks like. I can barely see, but
that way, go that way.
Yeah, look, she's a pearl. I'll be wearing some nice sunnies. But now look, back to the drawing board. I'm always learning, you know. I'm always learning, always wanting to perfect my craft. This is the elite level, you know, and you slip up a little bit and you end up like this. So we've got to go back there, cross our T's, dot our I's, and be better next time and keep chipping away. I want to be a 2-division champion. The dream doesn't stop, you know. We know it's hard fights here, and I've proved my toughness and my ability at the top level.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it again for Liam Paro and David Papot.
As I was looking here at the rankings before my colleague Big J gets on the line at 147, here is Liam Paro. Now, it's some confusion on if this is, I don't think this is in a final eliminator. I don't think he's the mandatory yet. I think that if he wins one more fight, he'll be the mandatory for Lewis Crocker. But Papot just ran out of gas the last quarter of the fight. I was wondering what was wrong because rounds 8 and 9 and 10, he just stopped throwing punches. Or was it 9, 10, and 11? I forgot, but he just stopped throwing punches. And then when you look at him in his corner, he was clearly huffing and puffing, like big time. So, you know, he kind of let, you know, himself down with the conditioning because this was a fight that was there for him to win because Liam Paro, the power of Liam Paro wasn't really doing anything. Now, remember, Liam Paro was moving up to 140. From 147. And Papot has fought as high as 160 pounds. So, my bad. So what I was saying was Papot was naturally the bigger dude because, look, you know, he's barely competed really in the 147-pound division. And he only has 5 KOs. But what struck me was they were saying that he's had 500-plus fights across boxing and kickboxing. So he's very experienced in combat sports. And that's what stuck out. That's what stuck out to me. By the way, look at that eye. Surprised that thing didn't split open. So when I would think about like who he would beat and who he would have a good chance against against the champions, I'm not sure. Crocker's a little bit too active for him. Rolly Romero, maybe, because Rolly Romero, you know, even though he beat Ryan Garcia, is still a question mark around Rolly Romero. Romero. Mario Barrios is the weakest of the champions in my division. He's always getting beat up on. And Brian Norman Jr., who's fighting Devin Haney at the end of the year, I don't know about him yet. So, you know, it's a lot of question marks around these guys at 147. And with Paro in the mix, I'm not quite sure yet. We're going to have to see some things. There go Big J right there. Hold on. All right. So we got Big J on the line. Now, I was telling you about how Paro, his power and his chin at 154 is pretty questionable, especially when we were looking at the fact that
147.
147, yeah. Especially looking at the fact that Papot, for those who are looking here on the screen, if you can see here, in March of 2024, he fought at 155, weighed at 155 and 3/4. The very next month, he dropped 11 pounds and fought at 154, and he's been competing. 144, and he's been competing at 147 for only the last 15, 16 months. So when you look at his career, he's been primarily a 154 small 160-pound fighter. So that may explain why later on in the fight, where it seems as though, or the second half of the fight, where it seems as though Papot had Paro in deep trouble and on his bike fighting on the back foot, more so fighting to survive, is that all of a sudden he stopped throwing punches. He was gassed out because even the commentators were wondering, like, is he hurt? Is he exhausted? And then you would see him go back to his corner huffing and puffing. And you really saw it in the last 2 rounds because Paro, as I said earlier, had swept. Well, not swept. He had won at least 4. Well, he won 4 of the last 5 rounds. 3 of them definitely clearly. And it was round number 11 where Papot found up the energy to buzz Liam Paro again with that same left hand that he could never get past. And remember, this was a southpaw, by the way, David Papot. So, concerning fight for Liam Paro, especially with, with a guy like this at pretty much, I guess you could say, drained, fighting in the division. I'm guessing where he can get opportunities, he had to drain himself. It didn't look good, and when I'm looking at the rankings of the champions, I don't think that he can beat Lewis Crocker. I think Lewis Crocker would outwork him. He may be able to beat Rolly Romero, and he may be able to beat Mario Barrios. Both of these guys are 140-pounders that have moved up, in my opinion, prematurely to 147. They haven't really acclimated. And when they got to 147, they got belts immediately, pretty much. So I'm still considering them on the smaller side of 147 pounds. As Brian Norman Jr., the WBO champion, still a question mark around him because he hasn't really done shit. He's got a title. He defended it over in Japan, but now he's going to be fighting Devin Haney in November, and that's supposed to give us the temperature of who he's going to be in the 147-pound division and in boxing. So as you can see, 147, if you're looking at it, it's pretty weak. And where does a guy like Liam Paro, a former champion at 140, who beat the boogeyman and Sabril Matias at the time, where does he fit into this division? So what do you think Paro should go? What do you think should be next for him? Because I have concerns.
Well, I think he needs to have one more fight before going after champion. But if you want to be a champion, you've got to go after the weakest target, and that's Mario Barrios. There would be a very, very good chance he could beat Mario Barrios because Mario Barrios almost got one up by bloody damn near 50-year-old Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
So
but everybody wants Mario Barrios, and they'll get bigger money fighting anybody else besides Paro. So No Limit would have to come up with some major money. However, Barrios is a PBC fighter, and we know that No Limit and PBC has that reputation. Has that relationship.
It's interesting to see that. Paro had a good fight, but then again, it's against a weight-drained 144.
Yeah.
It should have been someone that, as I said, Paro should have taken care of rather easily. And the only reason he got the win was because old mate gassed.
Yeah. It was clearly he gassed. He just stopped throwing punches. He didn't have it.
Well, yeah, that's a concern. Well, that's a concern, yet not a concern, because if you're fighting a drained fighter, that's not their natural weight. Yeah, but what's going to happen when he comes up against a natural 147?
Yeah.
He'll probably get the daylights kicked out of him. So,
I know
that's not a good thing.
It would have been disastrous for No Limit and Main Event, if Paro would have lost tonight, because No Limit's been having a torturous 18 months with their fighters just losing when they're not supposed to lose or shouldn't lose.
No, well, it's been more than 18 months. I think it's more close to. God, when was the Shannon Ebony fight? Shit, that was almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah.
So that's about 3 years. As I said, their title run started. I think it started around then.
Mm-hmm. They were on top of the world.
Mendoza. When was Was that 2022?
I believe that was 2023, but I'll check real quick. Yeah, they were on top of the world. So,
and then everyone just started losing.
Yeah, so let me see. That Brian Mendoza fight was 2023.
October.
October 2023. Yeah, so 2 years ago.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
So,
but what? Liam Wilson had another one-sided mismatch.
Yeah. And let me tell you what they were talking. They want to bring Navarrete over to Australia. You know they ain't happening.
Oh, fuck off! That ain't happening.
Yeah, they want not. Yeah, that's who they're calling out. They want a Navarrete. They were talking about, well, we went over there for him. He should come over here for us. Like that ain't happening. In fact, where is Liam Wilson ranked right now? Let me check really quickly here.
I think it's about 8th or something. No, Navarrete is not going to come over to Australia to fight a kid that he's already beaten and almost got knocked out by himself. There's no way doing that. Bullshit.
Yeah, Wilson is ranked number 4 by the WBO. Of course, Navarrete is the champion right there. And he is not he is ranked number 12 by the IBF. Yeah, he ain't gonna be. And also, Navarrete is flirting with 135 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to give these guys credit for trying to initiate those sort of fights or get them up out. But pretty much since Pacquiao lost to Jeff, international fighters don't want it.
Yeah.
They think they're going to get screwed. And if you look at it, right, most international fighters are coming here, put their belt on the line and lose anyway because Breeders did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, every time an IBF champion has come to this country and defend their belt against an Aussie, they've lost.
Yeah.
So, no, the only exception was the rematch between Devin Haney and George Kambosos Jr. That's the only exception.
Yeah.
Every other time, they've lost.
So even though we were talking about the Paro and Wilson card, some big news came out yesterday. What was the day before? Like the evening before? Was this yesterday? Tszyu.
It was just after the last video we just did.
Okay, yeah. So
we do a video and then 10 minutes later something gets announced.
So I have it on the screen here. Here's what Tszyu had to say. I wanted to make an official statement before it goes out to the public. Since my last fight, I've had time to reflect and I can feel that fire still burning inside me. I believe this next part of my journey will be my best yet. A more mature, smarter, and patient version of Tszyu. To reach the next level, I've decided to restructure my team and bring in some new faces to support me on this next chapter. I'll share more details soon, but I wanted my supporters to hear it from me first. The best is yet to come. So he, we were talking about that, is that was the move he had to make, is, get a new team, and now he's done it. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah. With the exception of removing Glenn Jennings, his manager, it was the right thing. He needed to do it because, as we've discussed, Igor and the trainer that he got in Australia can only get him so far.
Yeah.
So the trainer that Tszyu needs is Johnny Lewis, and Johnny Lewis is in his 80s. So I don't think Johnny Lewis has the ability to coach him at that level, being that he's in his 80s. So for those international people that don't know who Johnny Lewis is, he's the Angelo Dundee of Australia.
Well, I don't think that, personally, I'm thinking that he's going to get an American trainer, a well-known trainer over here, and he's going to base himself in the United States. And if he got rid of his manager, I'm thinking that maybe No Limit is going to be next too once his contract is up with them. I think he's going to go for a full fresh start. Because he got rid of his manager. Like he cleaned house, and he can't get rid of No Limit yet because they have a contract with him. So I believe they're going to be next.
I think that's crazy because you remember him was making allegedly rumoredly between $1 and $2 million a pop in Australia for absolutely no one heard of.
Yeah.
You're gonna make that money here in the States?
Yeah. He can get $1 million a fight over here in the States. Yes, he can.
Oh well, only if he Not fighting some club show bloody kid that no one's heard of.
I mean, what he should have did. I mean, what he shouldn't have done is he shouldn't have took shots at Turkey Al-Sheikh. He should have just let that be.
Yeah.
Even though Turkey took shots at him, still, it's like from a business sense, he should have just let that be, because now the guy pretty much has his hands all over the 154-pound division, or at least starting to surround it.
Yeah, true. But as we said, have we said this? I think Turkey Al-Sheikh, the 90s Eric Bischoff of boxing, it's not his money, right?
Yeah.
And, so I'm not convinced Turkey Al-Sheikh's going to be around. If he's still around in 5 to 10 years, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be around. Saudi Arabia has something called Initiative 2030. It's where they're trying to turn Saudi Arabia into a tourist attraction. Like the Dubai, of the Middle East, or over in that section, or like Vegas without the gambling, but all the shows and the stars and the athletes. So boxing is just a part of that. I mean, remember, they got tennis over there, racing. They just now secured WrestleMania.
I was just about to say, what the fuck is Hunter thinking doing that?
The money, man, it's too much. The Saudis are throwing around too much money. So the point is, when it comes to Tszyu, I think that especially with the plans that the Saudis and TKO, who has WWE and UFC under their banner, they're doing their best to buy up boxing. And Tim Tszyu, he still is a name, and he did do a good job distancing himself from his father's name, because he has some incredible momentum. Remember, even though he did lose to Fundora in that first fight from the cut, that fight was trending well here in the States. So Tim Tszyu's got his name in American boxing circles now, so at least he did that.
Exactly.
It was trending.
It was.
So his name, even if it's on like a lower, like his name is on the global level right now. In global boxing circles, people know who he is. You can't have Charlos calling him Tim Tszyu anymore. They know who he is now.
Well, that was just Charlo being a dickhead.
Yeah, but they were trying to act like they didn't know who he is. Now you know who Tim Tszyu is. So at least, through the 3 beatings he took, at least he got that out of it.
Yeah, sure. That is true.
But when I'm looking at the division, as I'm seeing here, for example, the champions are Bakram Murtazali of the IBF. Terrence Crawford is expected to drop his belt, because he said at the post-fight press conference after Canelo, he's not going back down to 154. So the Abbas Barrow, the interim champion, I was at that fight in Orlando a couple of weeks ago. He's going to be moving up to the full champion. And Fundora is the WBC champion. Virgil Ortiz, the WBC interim champion, who's fighting also, I believe it's in October, Erickson Lubin, and then you have Xander Zayas. And then on the outside looking in, you got guys like Josh Kelly, maybe Tszyu can fight. Serhat Bahuchuk, maybe Tszyu can fight, who Brandon Adams just beat in the upset in a rematch also. Maybe an Israel Madrimov, Charles Conwell, so there are fights out there for him that he can start building his name off of, and building his name back up before he goes out there and try to go get a title shot. But I'm really interested to see, who his trainer is going to be. And he's going to announce something soon. Yeah,
well, he'll probably return in round March next year. I don't see him fighting this year. So I say he'll be back around. Excuse me. Almost 11 o'clock at night here. March of next year. So that's when I see
I guess that makes sense, for him to take some significant time off. I would go for maybe January, but then if it's January, we need to hear something, I guess, in the next month or so. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Closing thoughts?
Glad to see him got up. Liam Wilson, just another fight. Really don't see him doing anything. Jacob NG returned from one fifth match, but that's fair, and he hasn't fought in Mundine's nephew beat Lachlan O'Shea. Who was the bloke supposed to fight Brock Darts?
Don't remember his name.
He's got a shoulder injury.
Yeah, don't remember his name. It wasn't nobody of note.
Aiken, Ken Aiken, was that his name?
Yeah, I believe that was the guy, something like that.
Yeah, he had a decent fight. Not a bad card. Certainly not as bad as the last one.
Yeah, they closed out strong. The main event was high tension. To me, it was the best fight on the card, and it really had a sense of you didn't know who was going to win. Still don't think they should be charging you guys $50 over there for this type of stuff, but it is what it is. With that being said, we are short on time. You can follow me on Twitter at TstreeT.
Before we go, hang on. We've got to send our condolences to Ricky Hatton's family. R.I.P. Ricky. He'll be missed.
Yes, still surprising and shocking news to hear that. And we're going to be hearing a lot more over the next couple of weeks. But you can follow me on Twitter at TstreeT Controversy and Big J at Old Mate Big J. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.